Mon nom est Diane Bérard. Je suis chroniqueur et journaliste de solutions pour la marque Les Affaires à Montréal. En ce 4 juin 2019, nous nous trouvons à la conférence Moving On, le sommet sur la mobilité durable. Je suis en compagnie de Nat Parker, qui est PDG de Reach Now America. Hi, Nat.
Hi, good morning. Bonjour.
Bonjour. So tell us, what is Reach Now America?
So Reach Now North America is really a startup within Daimler and BMW, the two car companies from Germany, that's rethinking urban mobility. So our job is to really help cities innovate and transform for micromobility, for multimodality, and for the changing ways we get from point A to point B. So we equip cities with technologies that help them to plan trips, to pay for ticketing for public transportation, and really to bring employers, merchants, and everyone in a city into the mobility ecosystem. We really see a future where people will use their car less. And so we want to help, I would say, travelers and cities connect with the different solutions that are both convenient but also sustainable for the long term.
I've got this existential question. Is a world without traffic jam possible, or is it a utopia?
I think it's a vision, of course. Today, one would say this is not possible, but that is based on current behavior and the attitudes that I would say cities, companies, and individuals have. Our goal is to change that and to really rethink how people live in cities from a quality of life standpoint. If you are spending 5 weeks of your life every year in traffic, as most people in Mexico City do today, you're really losing out on the time with family, with friends that means something to you. So our vision is to help people have choices, and not to say you'll never use a car, but instead to focus on using public transport as that core foundation of how a city moves, and then to use taxi service, car sharing, even micromodalities like scooters, where you can really replace the car being in the central city. We think it's possible, but it's going to take action. And so our job is to equip cities, transport agencies with the tools and the technology to make it happen.
You're talking about tools, you're talking about technology, but you're also talking about behavior.
Absolutely.
I hear a lot about this in what you're saying about the fact that behaviors have to change, and that takes a while.
It takes a while, and it also takes, I would say, the appropriate incentive. So we need to show people that taking a new mode of transportation that is public, that is common and shared, is not so bad. In fact, that you might find free time and enjoy your experience. I think we also need to put a price on the more intensive modes of transportation. So congestion pricing, as we saw recently in New York City, is going to have a profound impact on reducing the amount of car trips into the central city. That's something we need to affect at scale, both for convenience and quality of life, but also for our sustainability goals, both as a nation in Canada and worldwide.
Tell me, what innovations are coming our way in urban mobility? Let us look in the future.
Absolutely. So I think most people like the eye candy of looking at drones, at looking at helicopters that will be transporting people A to B, at autonomous vehicle technologies. From my perspective, this will play a big role in making things more efficient. But frankly, I think the innovation that we're seeing right now is, again, in changing the way people think about mobility. So at Reach Now, we bring solutions to the public's eye about their choices. How long will it take to get there? How do I pay for it seamlessly from my Apple Wallet, from my Google Wallet? We demystify the experience of moving through a city so that it's not so intimidating and it can be quite simple. I think the innovation that we're bringing also is the concept of loyalty to mobility.
Okay.
How can we actually bring every storefront, your employer, into your mobility experience on a day-to-day basis? They may say, if you come to my store, I will pay for your public transport ticket today. Or if you come to a soccer game and it's quite busy, instead of parking where it's quite constrained, please take a car share vehicle, and they'll pay for that. So I think bringing loyalty, rewards into mobility is a big part of what will make it sticky.
So there's the positive reinforcement, saying making it appealing, and also there's a price on the behavior you don't want to have anymore. So it's a mix of both.
Exactement.
Okay.
What we need absolutely is a full picture of data. We need to understand how people are moving about a city today. And we're facing what I would say stranded islands of data where private companies control the data from their service. What ReachNow is hoping to do is to create an operating system for urban mobility that equips cities with real-time mobility intelligence. Who is moving where and when, and how can we change and meter the pricing and the availability of those services to really make throughput, to reduce congestion. So if we're still stuck in traffic, we haven't won. We haven't done a good job.
What's the role of organizations in all this? Companies, employers, the retailers, what are their role in this?
I mean, to be quite honest, it's going to take everyone participating jointly to solve a problem as big as congestion, as big as climate change. But we see a couple key things. Number one, cities and public transit agencies in particular should play the role of mobility manager, meaning we think they should be in charge of the regulation, of the tariff, and really of bringing the ecosystem of players together. But to do so, we believe they should rely on private partnerships with companies like ReachNow, who can move quickly on the technology side, who are agile and can innovate really from a DNA perspective, but to work together. And frankly, we need employers to say, it's not okay for us to continue building parking lots outside of our office. Instead, we will give you a mobility credit from ReachNow. They will offer you all the choices to get here. That boosts productivity, it moves people more quickly, and I think it also makes employers more competitive and a great place to work.
There's this concept called eco-location that's emerging in Quebec, saying, okay, when you find a new location for your business, either you relocate or you build a new building, location is of the essence too, because it makes a difference. If you're far away, for example, the age of industrial park is a bit behind us because that was far, far away. So what about that? It seemed to me like it's an avenue for the employers in mobility, this eco-location thing.
Yeah, I think it's very relevant. If you consider that by the year 2050, 80% of the world's population will live in urban centers, in the urban core, we need to rethink how work-life balance is placed. And I think location of the employment is absolutely crucial. From our perspective, key things have to happen. One, locations should be co-located with public transport or high throughput capacity. That's absolutely crucial. Second, we also encourage remote work capabilities. We think that in the future, people will be able to literally dial in for meetings more often using advanced technologies like AR and VR. But frankly, if you look at the en banlieue, it's not necessarily sustainable if it's going to be one person in one car coming into the central city. Ça ne marche pas. So on-demand microtransit opportunities we think will play a role, as will car sharing in the outer ring. But in the central city, fewer cars, more public transportation, and micromodalities like scooters and e-bikes.
Il y a un mois, Montréal a gagné le défi Ville intelligente canadienne.
Félicitations.
Et un des enjeux principaux était la mobilité. J'aimerais savoir quels conseils vous pouvez donner à la Ville de Montréal qui veut justement améliorer la fluidité de sa mobilité.
Bah pour nous...
à faire et à ne pas faire.
On voulait commencer avec une mode de paiement qui peut connecter tous les modes de mobilité. C'est-à-dire de prendre la carte de Opus qui est déjà là pour STM, STL, et pour l'agrandir, pour accéder tous les autres modes, soit les vélos, les
avec
scooters,
un seul mode de
avec
paiement,
un seul
tout
mode
sur
de
la
paiement.
même carte.
Et c'est-à-dire aussi de changer la vie de quand est-ce qu'il faut payer. Est-ce qu'il faut payer tout de suite dans le moment ou est-ce qu'on peut payer après? Donc, c'est-à-dire c'est un post-pay système et c'est ça qu'on...
Qu'est-ce que ça change si on paie après?
Bon, c'est comme le iTunes. Si tu rent a movie, listen to a song, on paie après. À la fin de la semaine, on a la facture avec tout ce que tu as déjà enregistré. Et pour moi, pour la mobilité, on peut faire pareil.
Et c'est plus efficace?
C'est plus efficace et on peut prendre toute la complexité et on le met dans mon back-office software. Donc pour toi, pour the rider, c'est très simple. On a l'accès avec un mobile application et moi, je fais toute la complexité pour toi.
Et est-ce que le paiement intégré est une des implantations, des initiatives les plus importantes à faire au début?
Ça dépend de l'endroit.
OK.
Mais pour nous, il faut commencer avec le transport en commun.
Mhm.
Comme ça, c'est la plupart des gens prennent le train. Il faut commencer avec ça et puis on peut extend the payment aux autres modes comme
OK.
car sharing et soit vélo et tout ça.
OK.
Donc pour moi, c'est le payment qui peut scale vraiment.
OK.
Pardon,
Et
je manque le vocabulaire pour
massifier,
ça.
on peut massifier.
Ouais.
Au niveau des modes alternatifs, donc est-ce que ce paiement-là devrait être ouvert pour permettre à d'autres modes de transport d'être inclus à mesure que les innovations se produisent?
C'est très, très important d'avoir un mode ouvert. Et normalement, il y avait des technologies qui sont très fermées et basées sur une technologie propriétaire des compagnies comme Cubic ou Thales et des system integrators. Pour nous, il faut avoir le Visa ou le Mastercard logo avec la carte pour payer pour n'importe quoi dans des petites compagnies, de storefronts et merchants. Il faut avoir une single payment method. Et c'est ça que ReachNow vraiment a l'envie de démarrer ici à Montréal.
Et est-ce que vous avez une mise en garde pour terminer à faire justement à la Ville de Montréal qui veut faire des gros efforts de mobilité, quelque chose à ne pas faire, à éviter? Those shining objects?
À mon avis, il faut vraiment éviter les modes de transport autonomes aujourd'hui. Comme moi, je vois dans le parking lot le petit car qui charge A, B. Bon, ça, c'est quelque chose de bon, mais pour moi, il faut commencer avec le mode de paiement, avec le standardization of les data, comment on dit ça?
Les données.
Les données. Et on commence avec Standards of Technology. Comme ça, on a la base pour essayer de fournir d'autres modes de transport, mais ça commence avec la technologie of the customer. Donc, c'est ça.
OK. Merci beaucoup, Nathan.
Merci à vous.
Je vous souhaite une belle journée et une belle conférence Moving On.
Super. Merci.